welcome to the first episode of Create This Book 3 by Mariah Elizabeth. If you're new here, well, hello. My name is Ashleigh Monet, and I am currently working on all 3 editions of Create This Book at the same time. I've already started Create This Book 1 and Create This Book 2. This week I'm starting Create This Book 3, and moving forward, I'll keep rotating the books, releasing a new video each week. So make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss a new video when it comes out. But enough of me talking, let's jump right in and see what I can create. Of course, the first step in starting the book will be to decorate the cover. If you watched me start Create This Book 1 and Create This Book 2, you'll know I get inspired by actual books for my decorating. I decorated Create This Book 1 to look like a composition book, and Create This Book 2 to look like the burn book from Mean Girls. For this one, I'm inspired by the fact that it is spooky season, so I want to do a witch's spell book. I'm starting by using alcohol-based markers to color a purple to blue to green gradient over the font. I want this to be like a smoke cloud magical swirl thing on top of the book, so I'll paint around it in black to create that shape. Now, normally I keep the little art icon in the design, but for some reason, this paint palette is just not doing it for me, so goodbye. The book isn't gonna be black, but I thought laying down a layer of it would help create a base for the color that I'm gonna use. Don't know about you, but I feel like the text is a little hard to read right now. I have an idea to use some rubbing alcohol and Q-tips to apply some alcohol spots that will hopefully lift some of the color around the words. Let's give it a try. Well, it's working, but I didn't expect the dark ring to appear around those light spots. That's okay though, it actually looks kind of cool, kind of like bubbles. Let's keep going with it. The words are definitely easier to read now, so that's a win in my book. Now let's focus on the background. I want the book to be one of those old-fashioned brown leather spell books. This brown is thin AF, so we're definitely looking at multiple coats here. Coat 2, still looking super patchy. Fast forward to coat 5 and still don't have good coverage. It's like the paint refuses to cover the spots where there's marker underneath. I have a thought for how to camouflage it though. Taking a dark brown, nearly black paint, I dabbed it all over the cover with a paper towel, like a variation of a sponging effect. This ended up being a great move. It disguised the uneven spots and definitely contributed to giving the book a texture that looks more like the weathered leather I was going for. Weather leather. While I'm at it, let's paint the spine. And dab, dab, dab. Now to nail that old-fashioned look, this book needs some gold inlay on the edges. I used metallic gold acrylic, but I couldn't think of a really precise way to apply it, so I just ended up freehand brushing it over some guidelines. It's a little shaky in some spots, but you get what I was going for. I just love the shine of this metallic paint. Woo! Now let's add some sparkle highlights to the magic clouds. That means the highlight song. I feel like it needs more gold. Let's do some on the spine. And a little filigree on the cover. Oh man, I am not great at this. But that's okay. Some lines surrounding the title. And a spot for my name. I left it for a while like that, but I felt like it was too empty in that area where the paint palette was. So off camera, I drew up these purple crystals just to see if I would like something there, and turns out I do like it. So let's glue it on. And write in my name. Time to protect the cover with packing tape. I think I'm getting better at this because it didn't stress me out nearly as much this time as it normally does. Let me use my trusty label maker to print our spine title and apply it like so. Voila! Front cover completed. Now on to the back. Let's start layering on that brown. I skipped the initial black layer since it didn't seem to make a huge difference on the front cover. Layer after layer, using my heat gun between to speed things along, and finally dabbing to get that texture again. Also copying the gold inlay from the front. We don't need to see that again, so let's skip ahead. Ta-da! Finished. And for a few more little gold details. Now I always put a character on the back of the book. Create This Book 1, it was the Bride of Frankenstein. Create This Book 2, it was Katie from Mean Girls. Since this one's a spell book, I'm gonna have to do a little witch. Starting with the same colors from the front cover, making another magic cloud swirl, and onto my witch. I'm thinking a crystal-loving celestial forest witch vibe will do nicely here. She's got some purple crystal earrings to match the front cover, laying down her skin tones. I like the idea of her hair being stark white with a little braid down one side, very Daenerys from Game of Thrones, so I'll just hit it with some light gray shadows. On to her outfit. Of course she's wearing all black. A black little witchy hat and a roughly short black dress to match. Let's get some liner going here. Ah, lovely. And yes, I did a little colored pencil shading in a few spots too. Debating doing the alcohol trick to this smoke cloud too. Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, crap, forgot to put something under it. There we go. It didn't lighten as much as the cover though, so I'll lighten the bubbles with white colored pencil. Her outfit has a few sheer elements that I can color in now. Baby girl needs some fishnets. Ah, that looks awesome. Using acrylic now to add in her wand and some little hat details. She's gonna have a bit of lavender tucked in her hat. I mean, like any forest witch would. Obvi. She needs a bunch of jewelry. We'll do gold to play off all the gold in the spell book. Time for the sparkle highlights. Now to cut her out and trace out her spot on the back cover and glue her in place. Packing tape protection, and that's that. Here's the finished back cover. I love my little witch, just everything about her. I'm just crazy about this design. Dare I say it's my favorite of all of my Create This Book covers? Now the pressure's on to keep this ball rolling. Let's jump inside the book. I'm immediately thrown off by this blank spread. Normally in Create This Book, you open directly to this title page, but Create This Book 3 had a different publisher, and let me tell you, there are quite a few minor differences with this one. The cover has extra borders, along with smaller print. The spine label is backwards. The prompts are printed much smaller. And we've got these random extra pages. I leave no intro page blank though, so I've got to do something with it. As with both previous books, I'm going to maintain the cover theme throughout the intro pages. Since the theme was Forest Witch, and we did the witch, I want to focus on the forest for this page. Started with a black background, then using various shades of green acrylic, I'm painting some foliage. Maybe it's hanging moss, or maybe it's the branches of a willow tree. Not even I know. Let's bring in some gold metallic sparkles. They're almost giving me firefly vibes. I'm running with the gold now and painting an ornate gold frame. Starting with a watercolor base, let's get it lined. A little metallic highlight here and there. And now for the picture in the frame. I told you this page was supposed to look foresty, which is kind of broad, so to narrow it down, my vision is kind of a mushroom forest. So I'm painting some mushrooms, also with acrylic. This one's looking wonky. That's better. Add a little patch of forest grass. And because I'm me, maybe a little sparkle. And cut it out. And glue it onto the page. Aw, cute. The blank page is no more, and now we can move on to that title page. Normally I keep the splat, but today we're doing something a little different. I am nuts about this gold metallic paint, so let's paint all around the text with it. And the spot where my name will go. And now painting the background black. I didn't have a plan for the right side of the page at all, so at this point I'm just winging it. I did already have an idea sketched out for the left side though, so I'm working the background around that. Decided to add black to this name area and clean up the edges so it looks kind of like a gold framed blackboard. So for the left, I like the idea of a little witchy still life. Using watercolor, I'm painting a skull sitting on top of a pile of spell books. Let's get it lined. And add some metallic gold inlay with gel pen, writing in my name, and a couple of juicy highlights. And to tie it into the previous page, adding more of that foliage. Oh look, the skull's really a planter. Ah! And that would be it for the title page. Like it? Love it? Moving on. Next up is the copyright page, featuring a bunch of text that I never read, and the signature empty box with its infinite possibilities. I felt like what my theme was missing was a cauldron, so using watercolor, I started painting a cobblestone fireplace with a cauldron inside. Adding some depth to the color with colored pencils. Now for the potion, and some swirly, glowy magic clouds playing off the green and blue of the cover. Time for the liner. And juicy highlights. Now back to the page itself, I always like to use colored pencils to add a little glow color around the header text. Went wild and did the green to blue color gradient on this one. And I actually really like that, so I did the same thing for this little boxed off section here. And now to glue in our cauldron. Here's the finished spread. It's simple, but it's cute, and I'm very happy with it. Moving right along to the tips and tricks page. Another fairly insignificant page. We're gonna keep it really simple here. I just want to surround the header text with another swirly magic cloud thing. And since I did green to blue gradient on the last page, I'm gonna do a blue to purple gradient on this one. That way we'll have repeated all of the colors from the cover, and my OCD is kept in check. The trickiest part here was the blending. Not the easiest with acrylic, but I think I managed okay. Now for my two favorite parts, hitting with the liner and the sparkle highlights. Finito! One more page down, easy peasy. Now for what I consider to be the last intro page, create a fresh start with the beginning date. Decorate this page with things that remind you of new beginnings. And my goals for the book. As with Create This Book 2, I'm taking inspiration from this existing doodle. I'm assuming it's a sunrise. I think it'll tie nicely into the celestial witch aspect of my theme. I started by lining these little moons in different phases. It was getting late and I had just chugged a bunch of coffee. Have to say, not smart because now I have the jitters and my lines are shaky as hell. Decided to zhuzh the sun up with some metallic gold. And hey, let's do the moons too. And a nice gold frame around the goals list. Now to black out the dark side of the moons, as well as the goals list, since once again, I don't have a list to go here. I only have one goal for this book, and that is to finish it. Little pop of greenery again, and using colored pencils to give the moons some color and some shading. Fast forward. There we go. And now for my start date, I want to do a separate image, just like I did in Create This Book 2. Starting with another ornate gold frame. Liner time. Metallic highlights. Ayo! Got halfway through the actual picture before I realized I wasn't recording, but I'm doing a black cat in acrylic. Can't have a witch theme without a black cat, am I right? Juicy highlights. At our start date, October 10th. And to make it celestial in some way, let's add a little crescent moon to the forehead. And some background stars. Wait, these should definitely be gold. Aw, she's like a real-life Luna from Sailor Moon. Cut her out and glue her in the book. Really debated trying to do something more with the background, but sometimes simplicity is key. I decided it didn't need anything else, so we're calling it finished as is. And because I always have to do the first real prompt, create clouds. Look out your window and draw the clouds you see. Got some major bleed through from our moons, but I will be fully painting over the page, so it shouldn't be a problem. Started by taping off my edges with washi tape, and as far as the prompt goes, well, it's quite late right now, like 10:45 p.m., so I imagine if I was to look out my window, I wouldn't see anything. So with that in mind, I'm just going to use acrylic to paint a cloudy night sky from imagination. Starting with a black base and working around the prompt with a cloud-shaped edge. Get those crevices. Okay, I had to do the tiny nooks and crannies off camera because to see them, I had to be right up on the page and my head ended up all up in the frame. And I rewrote the word clouds because for whatever reason, it originally bothered me. I want the black sky to blend into a nice blue around the full moon. Yeah, but maybe not that blue. Let's tone it down. That's better. Okay, time for the clouds. Basically just using the same blue in all shades from black to white to randomly paint these cloud shapes. I really wish I could explain it better, but I can't. I mean, you see what I'm doing. Now for the most satisfying part, pulling the tape. Ah, yes. I felt like the whole piece was a little too plain, so I added the lyrics of one of my favorite love songs by Ellie Goulding. How long will I love you? As long as stars are above you. And those lyrics wouldn't make any sense if I didn't add stars. So many stars. All of the stars. Okay, too many stars. Let's lose some of these. Last step, using colored pencils to finish it off. And here's a closer look at it all finished. Simple, but I really like it. I'm super happy I chose to add the lyrics at the end. It definitely needed something. Well, that was another long week for the books. Moving forward, I'll only be doing like 4 pages per video. But let's recap. We decorated the front cover to resemble an old weathered leather spellbook with a colorful magical cloud of smoke thing and some cute purple crystals, totally as an afterthought. We adorned this completely blank page with some forest foliage and a cute little gold-framed mushroom painting. We completed the title page with a human skull planter sat atop a stack of old spellbooks with more black, gold, and greenery to keep with our forest witch theme. We decorated the copyright page with our witch's bubbling cauldron tucked into a stone fireplace. Ugh, I just love those colors. Then we added another swirl of magical sparkling smoke to the tips and tricks page. You know what? These colors are great too. I don't know which is my favorite. Next, we created a fresh start with our cute little celestial black kitty and our start date of October 10th, along with these lunar cycle doodles showing the moon in all of its phases, and our one and only goal to finish this book. Which brings us to the first prompt, where we created clouds. Clouds in the starry night sky with the lyrics to How Long Will I Love You? So dreamy. And lastly, our back cover, featuring the star of our theme, the crystal-loving celestial forest witch herself. I love everything about this girl. It's clearly my dream to be a crystal-loving celestial forest witch. And that's that. I had so much fun starting this book. Let me know in the comments which page you like best, and I'll know to make more art like that. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're not already, and of course come back next week to see what I create next. Goodbye!